It is early in the morning, and the sun begins to rise. The soft light comes through the window, making the room bright and warm. Sarah opens her eyes slowly. She feels sleepy but happy because a new day has started. She stretches her arms and legs and yawns quietly. Her blanket feels soft and cozy, but she knows it is time to get out of bed. The sound of birds singing outside makes her smile. Sarah sits up in her bed and looks around her room. The room is clean and tidy. There is a small table with a lamp next to her bed. A clock is on the table, and Sarah looks at it. The clock shows it is 700 in the morning. She says to herself, "It's a good time to start my day." She puts her feet on the floor and stands up slowly. Her slippers are next to the bed, and she puts them on to keep her feet warm. Sarah walks to the window and opens the curtains. The sunlight comes into the room, and everything looks bright and cheerful. She sees the green trees and flowers outside. The sky is clear and blue. A small bird sits on a tree branch singing a beautiful song. Sarah smiles and says, "Good morning, world." She feels happy and ready for the day. She walks to the bathroom to wash her face. She turns on the faucet and lets the cold water run. She cups her hands under the water and splashes it on her face. The cold water makes her feel awake and fresh. She looks in the mirror and smiles at herself. "Hello, Sarah," she says playfully. She brushes her teeth carefully, making sure they are clean and shiny. Then, she combs her hair neatly and ties it into a ponytail. After getting ready, Sarah goes back to her room. She opens her closet and picks out some comfortable clothes. Today, she chooses a soft t-shirt and a pair of jeans. She folds her pajamas and puts them away. Then, she makes her bed. She pulls the blanket neatly over the mattress and fluffs the pillows. Her room looks clean and organized now, and it makes her feel good. Sarah enjoys starting her day with some stretching. She lays a yoga mat on the floor in her living room. The mat is soft and colorful, and it makes her feel excited to exercise. She starts with simple stretches, like touching her toes and reaching her arms up to the ceiling. Each stretch helps her body wake up and feel ready for the day. Next, Sarah does a few light exercises. She jogs in place for 1 minute, feeling her heart beat faster. Then, she does 10 jumping jacks. She laughs a little because it feels fun to jump and move her arms. Her body feels warm and full of energy now. "Exercise is good for me," she thinks. "It helps me feel strong and happy." After finishing her exercises, Sarah drinks a glass of water. The water is cool and refreshing, and it makes her feel good. She wipes her face with a soft towel and takes a deep breath. "I'm ready for the day," she says with a smile. She looks at the clock and sees it is 7:30 now. She feels proud because she has started her morning well. Sarah likes to take a moment to think about her day. She sits down on her couch and closes her eyes for a few minutes. She thinks about what she wants to do today. She makes a list in her mind. First, she will have breakfast. Then, she will go to the park for a walk. After that, she will work on her projects. She feels calm and focused. The morning sunlight fills the room, making everything look bright and beautiful. Sarah feels grateful for the new day. She opens a notebook and writes down 3 things she is thankful for. "I am thankful for the sunny weather, my warm bed, and my good health," she writes. Writing these things makes her feel positive and happy. After finishing her morning stretches, Sarah feels hungry. She goes to the kitchen to make breakfast. The kitchen is clean and bright, with sunlight shining through the window. On the counter, there are some bananas, apples, and a loaf of bread. Sarah smiles and says, "Time to make something tasty." She opens the refrigerator and takes out some milk, butter, and eggs. Sarah decides to make scrambled eggs and toast for breakfast. She takes a frying pan from the cabinet and places it on the stove. Then, she turns on the stove and sets the heat to low. She cracks 2 eggs into a bowl and adds a little milk. Using a fork, she mixes the eggs and milk until they are smooth. This is going to be delicious, she thinks. Next, Sarah puts a small piece of butter in the frying pan. The butter melts quickly and makes a soft, sizzling sound. She pours the egg mixture into the pan and stirs it with a spatula. The eggs start to cook and turn yellow and fluffy. Sarah adds a pinch of salt and pepper for flavor. The smell of the eggs fills the kitchen, making her even hungrier. While the eggs are cooking, Sarah prepares her toast. She takes 2 slices of bread and puts them in the toaster. The toaster makes a quiet ticking sound as the bread heats up. In a few minutes, the bread pops up, golden and crispy. Sarah spreads a little butter on the toast, watching it melt into the warm bread. She places the toast on a plate next to the scrambled eggs. To make her breakfast even better, Sarah cuts up some fruit. She peels a banana and slices it into small pieces. Then, she washes an apple and cuts it into thin slices. She arranges the fruit neatly on her plate, making it look colorful and inviting. "This looks so good," she says with a smile. She pours herself a glass of milk and sits down at the table to eat. Sarah takes her time to enjoy her meal. She eats a bite of toast with butter, followed by a forkful of scrambled eggs. The eggs are soft and creamy, just the way she likes them. Then, she eats a slice of banana and a piece of apple. The fruit is sweet and fresh. She takes a sip of milk and feels refreshed. "Breakfast is my favorite meal," she thinks. While eating, Sarah looks out the kitchen window. She sees her neighbors walking their dogs and children riding bikes on the sidewalk. The trees sway gently in the breeze, and the sound of birds chirping makes the morning feel peaceful. She feels happy and thankful for this quiet moment to relax and enjoy her food. After finishing her breakfast, Sarah cleans up the kitchen. She washes the dishes and puts them back in the cabinet. She wipes the counter with a clean cloth, making sure everything looks neat. Sarah feels good about keeping her kitchen tidy. "A clean space makes me feel happy," she says to herself. Before leaving the kitchen, Sarah decides to make a cup of tea. She fills a kettle with water and places it on the stove. While waiting for the water to boil, she chooses her favorite tea. It is a bag of chamomile tea, which has a sweet and calming flavor. When the kettle whistles, she pours the hot water into a mug and adds the tea bag. The tea smells wonderful, and Sarah feels excited to drink it. Sarah carries her cup of tea to the living room and sits on the couch. She takes a small sip of the warm tea and closes her eyes. The tea tastes sweet and calming, and it makes her feel relaxed. "This is the perfect way to start my day," she thinks. She takes another sip and smiles. Now that Sarah has eaten and enjoyed her tea, she feels ready to start her day. She thinks about what she wants to do next. She decides to take a walk in the park to enjoy the fresh air. She puts her cup in the sink and grabs her shoes and a light jacket. "Let's go," she says with excitement. After putting on her jacket, Sarah steps outside. The morning air is cool and fresh. She takes a deep breath and smiles. The sun is shining brightly, and the sky is a beautiful shade of blue. Birds are flying above, singing cheerful songs. Sarah feels happy to be outside and ready for her walk. She starts walking down her street. The houses are quiet, and the neighborhood feels peaceful. She waves to an elderly neighbor watering his plants. "Good morning," Sarah says with a smile. The neighbor waves back and says, "Good morning, Sarah. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" Sarah nods and keeps walking. As she reaches the park, Sarah sees children playing on the swings and slides. A group of people is jogging on the trail. Dogs are running around, chasing balls and sticks. The park is full of energy and life. Sarah feels glad to be part of this lively morning scene. Sarah walks to her favorite path in the park. It is a small trail surrounded by tall trees. The trees provide shade, making the path cool and comfortable. She hears the sound of leaves rustling in the wind. The soft crunch of gravel under her shoes is calming. This is so peaceful, she thinks. While walking, Sarah notices the flowers blooming on the side of the trail. There are bright yellow daisies, red roses, and purple lavender. She stops for a moment to admire their beauty. She bends down to smell a flower, and the sweet scent makes her smile. Nature is amazing, she whispers to herself. A little further down the trail, Sarah finds a bench under a large oak tree. She decides to sit and take a short break. She looks around and enjoys the view of the park. The green grass looks soft and bright. The lake nearby reflects the sunlight like a mirror. Ducks are swimming in the water, making small ripples. While sitting, Sarah takes out her phone and checks the time. She sees that she has been walking for 20 minutes. She feels proud of herself for staying active. Walking is good for my body and my mind, she thinks. She decides to take a few deep breaths to relax. She inhales deeply and exhales slowly, enjoying the calm feeling. After resting for a few minutes, Sarah gets up and continues her walk. She sees a group of children flying kites in an open field. The kites are colorful and move gracefully in the wind. Sarah watches as one kite goes higher and higher. That looks like fun, she thinks with a smile. As she walks back toward the park entrance, Sarah notices a small ice cream cart. A man is serving ice cream cones to children and their parents. Sarah decides to treat herself to a cone. She walks to the cart and says, "1 vanilla cone, please." The man hands her the cone, and Sarah takes a bite. The ice cream is cold, creamy, and delicious. Holding her ice cream cone, Sarah continues her walk home. She feels happy and refreshed from her time at the park. The sun is higher in the sky now, and the day is getting warmer. She hears the laughter of children playing and the distant barking of a dog. What a perfect morning, she thinks. As Sarah reaches her house, she finishes her ice cream and throws the wrapper in the trash. She steps inside and takes off her jacket and shoes. She feels a little tired, but very happy. She thinks about all the lovely moments she experienced during her walk. "This was a great start to my day," she says to herself. Now that her walk is over, Sarah decides to relax for a while. She sits on her couch and looks through the photos she took of the park. The pictures of flowers and kites make her smile. She feels grateful for the simple joys of life. Sarah thinks about what she wants to do next. She has some errands to run later, but for now, she just wants to enjoy the peace of her home. She leans back on the couch, closes her eyes, and takes a deep breath. This is a perfect morning, she thinks.